Jonathan, let's get right into this.
All right.
Are you ready?
We're jumping into the database.
That's right. So go ahead and share your screen while I share with the kids what we've done so far. We are in the process of cloning Google Contacts, and we decided to call ours Goontacts, short for Google Contacts. And so we did like the initial screen, which gives you the list of your contacts. And then we also had we created the ability to add a new contact. And we did a long episode where, man, it just took forever to get that validation. And it was just, that episode was to prove a point. It's like, we have this acronym in the industry called DRY. And DRY stands for don't repeat yourself. And you really shouldn't repeat what others have done. Mm-hmm. So we went ahead and did it just for the exercise, just to show the amount of work that goes behind validation. And then the following week, we went and we undid all that, and we actually used a library called Formic, which made it really super easy, super simple, exactly, to do validation. I mean, it couldn't have been any simpler. It was super simple, and you can do so many things to advance it. So, but now we're back to the contact list. And what we got to do with the contact list is, obviously, we're not going to have, I don't know anybody that has just 5 contacts, or even 10, or even 25. But if you have to show more than a handful of contacts on the screen, I mean, what are you going to do if I think I have about 400 contacts in my phone book?
Yeah.
On my Google Contacts. Like, what am I going to do with 400 contacts all at once? Like, I'm never going to look at 400. I might look at a few Jonathans to be able to pick out your Jonathan contact information, right? Or I might look at maybe a couple of Charlies, so I can go and pull out the right Charlie. Or I might go, maybe I'll go and pull out an organization, because I put people's titles. Maybe I want software developers, and it's like, let me go filter out software developers. And from there, I can filter down the list. And so that's the same thing that we want to do. We want to be able to add a bunch of records into the database and be able to filter them. And it all starts at the database. The database is the fastest way to do filtering. And here's the reason why. Let's just imagine for a moment that you have 10,000 contacts, okay? Imagine if you had to filter 10,000 contacts in React. That means that you have to go to the database, go and query that table or multiple tables, join all the records and create 10,000 records. Bring those into C#, create a list of objects, right, that represent your contact information, and then send 10,000 records to your client. And then at your client, you go and filter it. I mean, that would take a couple of minutes at a minimum to put together and display on the client. It would take too long. So instead, what we want to do is we want to grab whatever you're going to display. We want to grab it at SQL Server. We want to say SQL Server, however many records you have, I just want the first 5. And then when you go to the second page, you tell SQL Server, I want the first 5 of page 2. Mm-hmm. And then when you're ready to get the third page, you said, I want the first 5 of page 3. Now, granted, SQL Server doesn't know what pages are. It's like, I don't know how many pages you would have if I give you 5 records out of 1,000. Like, and quite frankly, I could give a rat's ass, But the one thing that SQL Server knows is that it knows math. And I think this is one of those occasions where, as a developer, you have to know some basic math skills, right? So if I was to ask you, Jonathan, if I have 100 records and I want to display 20 records at a time, how many pages do I have in total?
5.
5 pages, right?
Yeah.
And that's a pretty easy calculation. But
Mhm.
if let's just have some random number, if I have 759 records and I'm displaying 20 at a time, how many pages do I have now?
I don't know.
That off the top of your head, right?
No.
But do you know the formula that you would use to calculate pages
Yeah.
based on those numbers?
Could probably figure something out.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where basic math comes in hand, a little bit of multiplication, a little bit of division, and in order to get all that information, in order to be able to send the results to the client, and you want to send that full set of results, right?
Yeah.
So I want to take a little bit of time to script out this database. So we're going to be creating a lot of scripts today. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're going to script out the database, but we're going to script it out in pieces so that as the database gets created, we can just execute one script, but we're going to piece that script together so that we can understand how this is happening. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to right click on that Goontacts DB, and we're going to say script database as create to new query window.
All right.
You got to love it how those menus just come together as a full sentence, huh?
Yeah.
So line 1 says use master and then go. In other words, go and select the master database. The master database is what contains metadata about each database. So what is metadata? Metadata is information about information, is what it turns out to be, right? When they say metacognizance or metacognizance, right? That just means that you have the information to understand your mind. So it's kind of like the information is pointing to itself. You know what I mean? So the Goontacts DB is information about contacts, but the master database has the metadata or the information that makes up the Goontacts DB. So that's one thing the first thing that we need to do is we need to go point to master and we say go. And then on line 5, it says, master, go and create a database called Goontacts DB, containment none, created on the primary drive, and set the name to Goontacts DB, and then set the file name to that file path. So believe it or not, Jonathan, every database is a file on your hard drive.
Oh, wow.
In case you didn't know. What makes that file special is that there's a whole set of files that come together in order to make the searching and the querying very, very fast. I don't know if you remember the conversation we had about tables and indexes. If I was to give you a book, and this book is 1,000 pages or near 1,000 pages, and I tell you, Jonathan, go to the chapter where it talks about, I don't know, X particular topic.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the quickest way for you to find that chapter?
Like going to like the index or something like that.
Exactly. The table of contents, right? And that tells you the specific page where that chapter occurs. So when you create an index on a table, you're basically creating a table of contents. That's the simplest explanation that I can give you because it kind of compares with real life. there's something else actually that's going on there, but in a comparison of what databases, how they work, and how you can compare it to real life, is the fact that you can have an index or a table of contents in order to make those searches really quick.
Mhm.
So that's what the whole DB is based off of, not just your data, but your indexes, rules. So remember, we also created primary keys where they would auto increment. All we got to do is just insert the record and it automatically increments that ID. Those rules are built into the database. The diagram that you create, it's all built into the database. It has the information in there. And the fact that multiple people can work on the same database is because it's not the fact that multiple people are accessing the database. It's the fact that multiple people are sending instructions to the database server. And that server has a queue that says, okay, just like a checkout stand at a supermarket, you go, you grab your groceries, you stand in line and check out. That's what the database server does. It actually takes instructions from different users and it processes them one at a time. It processes them really, really fast, but one at a time. So for a website, the database is the slowest part of the system. And we saw how fast that can be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still pretty fast. So the server itself, you're using an application to communicate with the server, but the server is the one that actually manipulates the files on disk. You don't directly.
Okay.
So that right there pretty much creates the database, lines 5 through 12. Let's look at what line 14 and below. What is it that they do? Can we scroll down a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Alter database, set arbitration abort. Go ahead and keep on going. I'm pretty sure these are all default settings. I can tell you for a fact, these are all default settings. We can get rid of the rest of these lines.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we need. So if you scroll all the way to the top, in fact, the other thing that we could do is we can get rid of the file name, size, max size, file growth. You can get rid of everything except for the parenthesis. Log on, and then the name is Goontacts log. You can get rid of the file name on that one too. With catalog collation database default, we can go ahead and leave that on there. I think that's perfectly fine. Okay, let's expand your tables. And I think that the person table is like the top level table, right?
Yeah.
That's the table that has to exist first before the other one. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and create a script. Go ahead and right click on your person table and script table as, and create to clipboard. And go ahead and paste it right on there. Kind of cool, huh? So we're going to need line 14 and 15 because if you go to the top, we're currently on the master when it creates the database. And so once it creates the database, we need to switch over to that database before we start creating tables. Otherwise, those tables are going to start being created in the master database, and that's not where we want them.
Okay.
But we could get rid of 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. You can go ahead and leave the comment on 17. The comment is actually kind of helpful. And get rid of those 2 empty lines. So in order to create the table, you create the table DB person, and it's an ID, the first column, and it's an integer type, and it's an identity where you start ID 1, you increment by 1. and it's not a null. And then first name, last name is deleted, right? And then the constraint on line 23 is that there's a primary key. And that primary key happens to be the ID itself. So ID ascending, you can get rid of with, you go ahead and get rid of with and line 27. So from starting from with all the way down to line 27, you get rid of all that. Those are all default values.
Okay.
Okay. And you get rid of the go as well. And then we also have that alter table, add constraint, people is deleted default. So we can leave that. Oh, wait a second. Can you give me a blank line right where you're at 26 and hover over alter? What is going on there? Incorrect syntax near expecting. Oh, okay. We're missing an extra parenthesis. So go ahead and add a parenthesis to the end of line 26. Yeah. So that parenthesis is the one that's on line 18. So let's change this a little bit. You see line 24, put that at the end of line 23. No, just line 24.
Okay.
Just put it at the end of line 23. And then get rid of their blank line. And let's do the same thing with line 24, put it at the end of line 23. You need the parenthesis, yep. And then move one parenthesis to the end of line 23. That's essentially what we're looking at.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Let's hover over person and let's see what it's complaining about. Oh, there's already an object. Okay, yeah. We know that the Goontacts DB exists, and we know that the person table exists. That's why it's giving you that error.
Okay.
All right. So let's go and do that same thing to email.
All right.
And get rid of line 33 to 37. And let's go ahead and line 39, 40, and the closing parenthesis will move to the end of line 38. And you get rid of the on primary. And then the other thing you can do is you can also get rid of 29 and 30. We're already in the Goontacts DB, so you don't need that. All right. Now, you see how on line 37 you have a go? Let's add a go on line 25 just to keep it uniform, and then give me a blank line after that. And let's do the same thing with phone. Now that we have all this, we need to be able to insert data into our tables, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think right now we have data like Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and things like that. But what we may have to do is we may have to do something a little different in such a way that we can just use numbers, right? Like first name 1, first name 2, first name 3, first name 4, and then last name 1, last name 2, so on and so forth. I'm trying to think of what would be the easiest way to do something like that. We could use a while loop with a counter, and then just do inserts. And I think that would probably match everything that we got. Can you go over to Google and do a quick search? Let's see if SQL Server has a SQL Server for loop. Let's check out that first link, tech on the net. Let's scroll down a little bit. So essentially what they're saying is that there is no for loop, and we're going to have to do a while. And we're just going to have to keep a separate counter. So let's go ahead and copy that code. Cool. So we got the counter, and let's start that counter at 1. And we need that count total. So let's put a comma. And let's go ahead and put at CNT underscore total space int equals let's just say 100. 100, yeah, that's right. And then go ahead and add the ampersand to count total on line 72. The ampersand, the @ sign, sorry.
Oh. On 70.
On line 72, the count total.
Okay.
And let's change that from a less than to, actually, that's fine. Less than 100. That works. And then, and at the end, so at line 75, it's going to increment that count, which starts at count 1. It increments it by 1 every time. So on line 74 is where we want to put our insert statements, right? So let's expand person, the person table, and let's expand the columns. We need to insert first name and last name only, right? So go ahead and replace line 74 with insert into person, and then open parenthesis, first name, comma, last name, and then close your parenthesis, values, and then open parenthesis. And here we're going to put a capital N, and then a single quote, and then put first name. You can put a space in first name. Oh yeah, no, you know what? First is fine. Just no space first. And then go ahead and close your quote. Your single quote, close your single quote.
Oh.
And then put a plus sign. And we need to convert. So let's go back to Chrome and let's see how we can convert that at count, which is an integer, into a character. So let's do a search for SQL Server convert int to string or varchar and varchar. So it's a cast. So let's go check out that right there. So we're going to cast at count as and varchar. Okay, so copy that cast command, not the select, just the cast, along with the values. Yep. Yeah, you don't need the semicolon.
Oh. Oops.
Let's go back to SQL and go ahead and paste that right where it's at. Now the 25.65, let's replace that with at count. CNT, at CNT. It's a lowercase count. Yeah. And then we're going to replace that as and varchar. The int is going to be as and varchar.
Oh.
and then put a semicolon at the, oh, you got to close your, oh, you got to also, we got to do comma outside the parenthesis, comma, and we're going to do N single quote last name. It's capital N. And then just put last. And then the same thing, right? We do the plus cast. And then close your parenthesis. And then close your parenthesis again. And then give it a semicolon.
Wow.
So this is going to enter 99 records into the person table.
Okay.
And so we need to do the same thing with email, right? So let's expand email. And what fields do we have in there? Go expand columns. So this is, we got to grab the person ID. And then we got to grab the address and the email label. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to grab, we can just use, go ahead and go down to the loop. Give it a new line after 74. And we're going to do the same thing for email. We're going to insert person ID, address, and address label. And then we'll do the same thing where we do the end single quote, and we'll just put, oh, actually, this is going to be at CNT. So this, we're just going to grab the CNT from the person, which is the same one, and then comma. And for the email address, we can do a couple of plus signs where we can do email 1 at example.com. You know what I mean? Example.com. And so what we'll do is we'll put single quotes around email. And then you're going to put a plus sign. And then put a plus sign after the 1. And then another capital N. And a single quote. All right. So that number 1, Jonathan, you have to replace it with the cast. I do this with programmers all day long. It doesn't matter how much expertise you have. You're always challenged by like, no, it's here. No, it's there. You know, you can tell them the line number, but you can't tell them the column, right? Yeah. And so that's where the struggle. And then the thing is that I'm telling you email, and the whole thing is an email.
Yeah,
so
I was like, email over here, or like where?
Yeah. So the whole thing is an email. It was like, okay, I see what's going on. Okay, so we've inserted the person ID, we've inserted the address. Now we need to insert the email label, right? So before the closing parenthesis, put a comma in there. And we need to do the same thing with email label. So we're going to say email label, and then we're going to append cast at CNT as in varchar. So just like we did, in fact, what you could do is you can copy n first name plus cast all the way from parenthesis to comma. Yeah, get rid of the first parenthesis. Yep. Right there. Copy that and paste that at the end right there. Inside the, yep. And replace first name with email label. So this is going to insert the word email label and then append 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is so that we could just enter a bunch of records into the tables themselves so that we can see how paging and pagination works within SQL Server. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wait.
So let's do, oh, what happened?
It's like that, right? Does it have to be the same as this?
Email. Oh, yeah, it's a single L. Yeah. Interesting. We were being fancy. We were being conservative with the letters. We didn't want to wear out the L. Now we need to do the same thing with phone.
Okay.
I believe that extension can be null. So you don't have to include extension. You can leave that as null.
Oh, it has to be a no-no as null.
No, just leave it out.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to include it if you're not going to insert it. All right, so let's open close parentheses so that we know where our parentheses are at. And then let's go ahead and put at CNT. That'll be our person ID, right? And then our country code, we can just put a 1, so comma 1, because we're only using US numbers. Area code, let's just go ahead and put inside of single quotes. Let's just put 213. And then put a comma. And then the subscriber code is going to be, we have 99 numbers, right? We have 99 numbers. So we have to go from 0 to 99. So, and then we start at number 1. So we have to go from 1 to 99. And we can only enter a total of 7 numbers. Is that how many, or 10?
7, yeah.
What's the subscriber? How long is the subscriber code? Can you expand the subscriber code a little bit? No, just move it to the side, scroll to the right. There you go. 11. Oh, there's total of 11. Oh, okay, that's cool. We can just go ahead and put, we can just put, these don't even have to be real numbers. We can just literally insert that cast command with the count as n varchar. Just copy that cast command and you can put it in there. See the cast command on line 75, or yeah, that one. Literally just put it in there. So the actual number, instead of having a 7-digit number, we're just going to have 1 through 99, because this doesn't have to be a real number. It's all test data. So this is fine. We're not inserting the extension, but we are inserting the phone label. So just like you have your last name on line 74, you can just copy that last name, and we'll replace last name with phone label. Oh, you need the whole cast and everything.
Oh, okay. Like that.
Yeah. Yep. Paste that in there. Replace last with phone label. And this time we are making use of that L. Woo.
All right.
Are you ready to get rid of this database, Jonathan? First of all, let's save this. So do a Control S. And let's go to, hang on, scroll down on your, where it says PC.
Oh, whoops.
Yeah, Control S, and then scroll down and go to your C drive and go to your repos and go to Goontacts. And then you see where it says SQL Server Database?
Oh, yeah.
Click in there. And then replace that name with, no, don't use that name, but just SQL Server Query 1, replace that with Goontacts DB Goonatak DB with test data. Go ahead and save that puppy there. All right. Here's the scary part, Jonathan.
Uh-oh.
You're going to right click on Goontacts DB and you're going to delete it.
Here we go.
And hold on. You have to close all existing connections at the bottom.
Okay.
And then go ahead and hit OK. Ooh, man. That database is gone. This is the actual test of our script, Jonathan. Okay.
Okay.
let's do a control shift R. And this is going to refresh our script so that it doesn't think that phone, email. Oh, you see how those errors went away?
Yeah.
It actually refreshed the cache and it says, oh yeah, those don't really exist anymore. So let's go ahead and execute this script and see if it creates our database. Oh, cannot open database by login. Connection is broken. Oh, okay. Go ahead and hit OK. And let's go ahead and click inside the script. And right click. I'll tell you what. Right click on there. Right click inside the script. And connection. Ooh, we've completely hosed this up. Okay, let's go ahead and close the script.
Close it?
Yeah, because we saved it already.
Okay.
And right click on local and start a new query. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and open that script. So you can go and click the little open file up on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
The little open. Yeah, right there. Open file. And go and open up that Goontacts DB with test data. Go ahead and open that up. All right. Let's run it. Let's see what we get.
Okay.
File name is required in the create alter database statement. Okay, cool. Oh no. What do we do? Something definitely went wrong. All right, looks like we're going to have to use the whole path. So let's go copy the path from the significant script and do it for the log as well. Let's go ahead and highlight 1 through 12 and run it again.
Cool.
All right, let's refresh databases. All right, so we need the whole path in order to create the database itself. Okay. Now, we didn't create the table. So if you expand Goontacts DB and you look at tables, there's nothing there. So let's delete Goontacts DB and we'll run the whole thing again. Delete that, close all existing connections. All right. And go ahead and run the whole thing.
All right.
Whoa, it completed successfully.
Cool.
All right, let's go ahead and close this window and close this one as well. And then let's open up a new query. And you see where it says up on top where it says significant in the dropdown? Let's choose Goontacts. And let's just do a select star from person and execute that puppy. See what happened there?
Wow.
So we have unique numbers. Let's do the same thing with email and with phone. Make sure that we got. So this is just test data. You know, we want to play around with it so that we can go and play with pagination.
Yeah.
All right. So, oh, Jonathan, we forgot the start procedures.
Oh, no.
We have to create start procedures as well. Well, you got one start procedure, right?
I think so.
Yeah, save contact info. That's an important one right there.
Yeah.
But we need to be able to do the select, which is fine. That's fine. Let's go ahead and open up both of those scripts. Go ahead and go file open and open up both of those scripts. And I would say, go ahead and collapse line 5. line 18, line 31, and then 51. But so before 51, actually, no. Yeah, 63, 70. Okay. So before line 70 is where we want to do the store procedures. So go ahead and give me a couple blank lines there. And paste the store procedure, the save contact info. Cool. And then let's go to the top of the store procedure. Cool. We can go ahead and collapse 71. Oh, look at that. Expand it again. We need to go ahead and expand it. Yeah, line 126, a go, and then a blank line. Okay, let's go back to the top and you can collapse 71. Excellent. And get rid of the blank line, 69 or 70. Cool. So let's save this. And we're going to need to recreate that store procedure that grabs the information, which is cool. We just need to go look at what it was. What was the name of that store procedure? We need to go look at it in code. Mm-hmm. So let's go open up the Goontacts project. So go to data and contacts data. Go ahead and open up contacts data. And it's called SP contacts list. So that's what we need to create. We need to create that store procedure again. So go ahead and copy that name. And let's go ahead and go back to SQL Server. And let's go ahead and open up a new window for a moment. We'll come back and we'll insert that store procedure once we create it. And go ahead and say create or alter proc, and then paste in the name of that store procedure. And then let's just go ahead and create the skeleton. And then our code is going to go in between begin and end. So go ahead and give me a blank line after line 3. And go up to line 4 and just press tab. And then go ahead and just do a select star from person for now. And we need to go look at what the structure is supposed to look like. So if we go back to Visual Studio, and let's go look at that mapper method. Line 36, or go to definition. Yeah, good one. Yeah, nice. Go ahead and expand line 36. So it has to be the ID, the name, the email, and the phone number. So I think what we ended up doing was we ended up putting the first and last name together. We concatenated them together, and then we grabbed the email from this. So we had to do a join, right? And then the phone number. Okay. So let's go back. We're going to be toggling between Visual Studio and SQL Server. So let's go back to SQL Server. And let's go ahead and put from on a new line. And then the star, go and get rid of the star. Or the asterisk, yeah. Get rid of the star. And then go ahead and give me another blank line. Oh, I'm sorry. Right where you're at, go ahead and yeah, no, go ahead and get rid of the blank line for now. Sorry, go ahead and go to the end of select. And let's go ahead and put, is it ID or is it, yeah, I think it's ID, right? So go ahead and put ID, ID, yeah. And then let's alias the table person as P. So at the end of line 5, give me a space P. And let's prefix ID with P dot ID. So it's be p.id. So let's prefix it so that we know we're getting the ID from the person table. And then go ahead and press enter. Give me a blank line. And then press tab. And you're going to have to space so that you line up with the P. Right there. So we're going to do P dot first name. And then just in single quote, just give me an empty space. And then P dot last name. So basically we're grabbing all this information from the person table, but we're using the P alias. And then here, oh, you're going to need a comma at the end of line 4. Sorry. I'm still so mad at myself for not not copied these store procedures. Okay, give you another blank line after line 5. And then here we're gonna need, is it the email? Can you go back to Visual Studio? I think it's email, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Email
and then phone number. Okay, cool. So let's go back. So we're going to need a join. So go ahead and get rid of those blank spaces between person and from. We only need one space. So at the end of line 7, you're going to say join. So a capital join at the end of line 7. You're going to join email. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to alias this as E, and we're going to join those on. So it's going to be on p.id. It's a lowercase p equals e.person ID. Yeah. And then, yeah, give me a space right there. And then, so on line 6, you're going to say e.email, e.address, I think. Yeah, address. Yep. Let's highlight 4 through 7 and let's execute that just for the moment. All right, cool. We got the addresses. And we need to do the same thing for phone. So go ahead and you can go ahead and on the word join, go ahead and press enter on the word join. So put join on the next line. And then, yep, that's perfect. And so you're going to do another join on the next line, on line 9. You're going to join phone. And so we're going to alias this one as PH on p.id equals ph.person ID. Dang it, I still want to kick myself for not. Let's go ahead and run this and see what we get. Oh, wait, we need to add the, at the end of line 6, do a comma. And then, yeah, line 7 will be ph dot area code. Oh, you know what? Just a phone, just a subscriber code for now. Let's go ahead and run this. Let's see what we get. Okay, cool. I'm thinking we should probably include that, the area code as well, huh? And then ph dot subscriber code. All right, let's run 4 through 10, see what that looks like. All right. That's not too bad. Later we can come back and we can put the we can separate the 3 and the 4 and we'll put a dash in there. But we'll come back later for that. Yeah. I think this is it. let's go ahead and execute this whole script. And let's make sure that the application is still running. Make sure we haven't broken anything. Oh, we have to give it an as. We have to give it an alias. So on line 5, before the comma, where it's going to be as name, capital N. Yeah. And then on line 7, as, what is the name of that field? We need to go look at Visual Studio for a moment.
Name.
Well, yeah, so name, email, phone number. So we need phone number as phone number. And then on line 6 is as email. And let's go run the application to make sure it works still. All right. So we have 100. Wait a second. Why is ID 1 4 times and ID 2 4 times? Oh, that's because it's in there 4 times.
Oh.
Can we just do a select star from, can you open up another query? Do a select star from person. Yeah, you have 198 rows, which means that there's person 1 is in there more than once.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go ahead and delete Goontacts and go to your Goontacts. Yeah. And let's put this down at the bottom where the other store procedure is at. Yeah, after line 125. And then put a go at the end of that. All right, so we have those two. Save this. And let's go ahead and execute this puppy again. Oh.
It's broken.
Is broken again. Go ahead and hit OK. And right click on this thing and go to connection. Oh, it's completely broken. Okay. Go ahead and close all your windows. No, you don't need it. Go ahead and close that. And then let's go ahead and open up a new query, or just go open up the file, see if it connects. All right, let's execute this, see if it runs. Oh, let's go run the application, see what comes up now.
There we go.
There we go. Now we have one of each for a total of 99. Perfect. Cool. So this is working the way as expected. So go ahead and close this and let's go back to SQL. And let's close this window before we execute it again. So now we need to pull up pagination. All right. So let's go ahead and refresh databases and go ahead and expand Goontacts DB and expand programmability and store procedures and edit the contact list. Modify, yeah. And let's go ahead and do a Control S on this. And we're going to go ahead and save it to the repo.
Okay.
Go ahead and hit save. Cool. And then modify line 9 so that you get create or alter. Excellent. And save this. Okay. So now we want to grab just 5 records at a time. So let's go to Chrome and see how we would do that. Let's look for SQL Server Pagination. Ah, all right. So here's an example where they're using fruits. So let's go ahead and scroll down. Well, let's look for the example where they start paging fruits. Ah, here we go. This is one we want. So here we're going to offset 5 rows and fetch next 6 only. So we're going to need to go ahead and copy this statement. This is the one that's going to give us the money to be able to paginate our. I'm going to copy that and let's go back to SQL Server. And give me a new query window. And then we're going to put this inside of comments. So you're going to do // and then inside those forward slashes, you're going to put asterisk, asterisk. So we need to do the same thing with the stored procedure we got. So let's go back to the stored procedure for a moment and copy lines 12 through 19. 12 to 18, yeah, sorry. Copy that, and let's paste it outside of the comment. So you can see here where he did the select, he selected some fields from, and he's putting an order in there, but then he does offset 5. So after the join on line 17,
There we go.
all right. Let's highlight. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and execute that. So you said offset 5 rows and give me the next 6, which gave you 6 through 11. Now, what if you offset 0 rows? And you only grab the next 6 or the next 5. So let's do an offset 5. And just do 5, that's fine. It gives you 6 through 10. Let's do offset 25.
Cool.
Okay, so what's the math that we need here, Jonathan? So let's replace the 25 on line 18. Let's replace that with at page count times page num. Let's see what that gives us.
All right.
That's not what we expect, Tom.
No.
Because we're looking for page number 1.
Yeah.
The problem is, remember, in order for us to get that first page, we had to offset 0 records. So from a human's perspective, when you say, hey, give me the first page, what number is that?
That's the first page.
That's
1.
page 1, right? So from a human perspective, we can go ahead and honor the human perspective, but on line 18, page num, we're going to have to subtract 1 from it. What's the problem with that math formula, though? What's the rule on math?
You can't multiply by 1 or 0 or negative.
No, you can multiply by 0.
Oh,
anything multiplied by 0, 0, right?
Yeah.
The problem is that it's going to go and execute the multiplication first. So we need to put parentheses around page num minus 1. In order. So let's go ahead and execute this and see what we get.
Boom.
All right. So let's go to the variables and replace it with page 10. Let's run this and see what we get.
Cool.
All right. Let's try page 20.
Yeah.
You see what the problem is though? Is that if we go beyond, let's go to page 30. What do we get?
Probably gonna be blank.
Yeah, because there's no page 30. So we're also going to need a way, but I don't think we need to do it in the store procedure. We need it to be from the C# side. So I don't think we need to worry about it. So we could do this right here. This is going to be fine. Let's make sure this works. Nice. Very cool. So now we got pagination. So what we need to do, Jonathan, in the store procedure is we need to add parameters. One of them is going to be page count and the other one is going to be page num. So those are going to be parameters. And then we also need to add the order by and the offset. So let's go ahead and copy on line 9. Let's just copy those parameters, not the declare, just the parameters. And put that into the store procedure. Go ahead and go back to the store procedure.
Yeah.
And then put it in between line 9 and 10. That's where your parameters go. So tab, and then put that in 2 separate lines. So we'll default it to 5 and 1 in case we don't get any. And then we need to add, go back to that, we need to add line 17 and 18. So copy 17 and 18. So let's go ahead and execute this so we can save it. And let's do a test, Jonathan.
Okay.
Oh, first of all, we need to go and paste this code. So grab 9 through 23 and go and paste it inside the main script, the big script that we created. Contact list. Yeah. So replace 127 through 138. Cool. Save this. Excellent. All right. Let's do one more thing, Jonathan. Let's go back to that Goontacts DB to the store procedure, the contact list store procedure. And in between lines 12 and 13, let's do a quick test. And let's go ahead and execute this whole thing. Go ahead and execute the whole thing first. And then let's go ahead and execute just that one line. So this will give you 10 records, page 5.
Cool.
So that's about right? Because it's 10, 20, 30, 40. So 1 through 10, 11 through 20, 21 through 30, 31 through 40, 41 through 50.
Yeah.
So that works. Okay, let's go ahead and add this comment to the main script. Perfect. All right. So Jonathan, we're done with the database part of it. This is how we get pagination at the server. So the server will only ever give us exactly what we're going to display and not anymore. And we bring back 10 records, which is going to be just lightning fast instead of bringing 100 or 1,000 or 10,000. You know, it's like if you have 10,000 contacts, that's a lot of data. SQL Server can calculate pagination a lot quicker than it can transfer the data. So the smaller the record set that you send to the front end, the more snappier your website's going to be.
Cool.
So yeah, this is pagination at SQL Server. In the next episode, we're going to go and modify our API to be able to call this store procedure and grab the data that we need.
Right.
We may need to, you know what? We may need to do one more thing. Let's go ahead and go back to the SP contact list and go to the end of the store procedure right before the end. Let's go ahead and start a new query. And so what this is going to do go ahead and execute this whole thing right now. And go ahead and run that test. Exec the line 14. This is going to give us 2 results. So what will happen is that we get the page result, and we also get the total record count.
Oh.
So we're going to grab those 2 values. In the next episode, we're going to grab the result and that value, and we're going to assign it to a variable that we can then display to the users like, hey, you're on page 5, you're seeing 10 records out of a total of 99 records.
Yeah, that's cool.
So we can give that information to the user, and they can, they can decide whether they want to filter down, and we'll do some filtering. The filtering is going to make this store procedure very complicated, but we're going to be modifying that little by little as we go through it. So, all right.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, huh? So let's go ahead and add line 27 to the main script. All right, let's go ahead and push our changes to the server. We need to do it through Visual Studio. And let's go ahead and commit and push. And let's go make sure that they're up on GitHub.
There it is.
There it is. All right. So we have all that. The kids can now go and launch this, and they got some test data to play with the application. And they'll be able to play around with it. And in the next episode, we're going to go and modify the API, and we're going to see how we call that store procedure to get the specific pages that we want and the number of records that we want to display, and then how we receive that information. So our contact list is going to be a little bit more complicated in order to get all that information.
All right.
Pretty cool stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Until next time.
Peace out.
Peace.
On the road to code.
That's right.